Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Harry Shum, Executive Vice President, Technology Research Division at Microsoft.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming over to this session. I really appreciate that because I'm really taking your precious lunchtime away. I always get this kind of slot. I don't know why. The thing I really like the Build conference and actually all kinds of developer conference, I found that typically developers are very friendly, as I learned from Scott's keynote earlier. If I pause, then you will applaud. So that's what I heard. So today I'm going to talk to you about something we call the Microsoft Cognitive Services. In case you haven't realized that, this whole conference, starting from Satya's keynote, is all about intelligence. You will get even more in my talk. So it's really interesting to think about that. It has been 11 months, and we actually, since we launched Project Oxford. So today we actually changed the name to Microsoft Cognitive Services as we move into products. That's what I learned that because with our product, you go to the hub, look at our demos. Yesterday, I hope some of you actually went to the hub, look at some cool demos there. We actually offered not only free APIs, but also free IPAs. You might be disappointed today I'm not offering you free IPAs anymore, but at least you still get the free APIs. So let me just take you back to what Satya talked about yesterday about the interconnected ambitions from Microsoft, the more personal computing, building intelligent cloud, and reinventing productivity and the business processes. Scott and Chi talked about the cloud and the productivity today. Yesterday, Satya and Terry talked about more personal computing. But the exciting thing Satya talked about was really how we actually think about as we get more and more AI built into our products. So I want to make sure that a lot of things we really grounded that in our ambitions. So since part of my organization is Microsoft Research, so we think about the future all the time. As I think about the tomorrow's experience, tomorrow's computing, and the tomorrow's tools, one theme just emerges so clearly, that is intelligence. Whether we call the ambient intelligence for experience, collective intelligence for the cloud, because we have a lot of data, or artificial intelligence about all kinds of tools we create. So that is really the intelligence. It's really interesting for me to think about. I studied AI robotics in graduate school. So looking back the last 50 years, it's really amazing journey we have been on, how much we have advanced in the field of artificial intelligence. It is a time for all of us, you developers, to think about how we are going to bring AI to every digital experience for our users. It is therefore important for us at Microsoft to really ground in our mission about empowering people. That's why we believe the importance of AI is to augment human capabilities and the experiences. It is important to forge this man and machine partnership, not having machines to replace human only. So with that, I want to really introduce Microsoft Cognitive Services. So it is about putting intelligence into the apps. It is about allowing you, the developers, to do those things easily. It is about adding smarts to the data. So I will get into a lot of details later. It's really about a lot of research and developments and the technology coming from Microsoft Research, Microsoft product teams in a number of areas, from computer vision, speech, to others. So our goal is really take the AI expertise and make them available, help you to democratize AI. So we're very, very excited about it. As I mentioned to you that we actually launched the Project Oxford exactly 11 years ago at the Build conference right here. But it has really come a long way. So we actually started with only several APIs, but we added more. I remember I even gave a presentation in China and when we launched the LUIS, the language understanding with the Chinese version. So we have all together today, offer you a suite of 22 APIs in a number of different areas. So we also built quite a few showcase apps internally, just to really just kick the tire and having fun. I hope you have at least familiar with some of them. The first one is called HowOld.net, which was launched at the Build last year. It's just amazing to see how many people actually tried and had fun. Sometimes it's just amazingly accurate. Sometimes it got ridiculously wrong, but people loved it. So the last one, actually, my latest favorite one, is actually this app called Fetch. So Fetch is actually an app, a website. You can upload your picture there. It not only recognizes what kind of dogs you have, more amazingly, it will recognize what kind of dog you are. So far, we have had more than 10 million photos uploaded there. It really, really blew me away to realize that we actually received more than 10 times more faces than dogs. So go figure. So we're very, very happy to see the press actually took notice. People like those kind of apps, not only the ones actually built by us, but also by our partners and the customers. It might be amusing to see those apps. They may look silly, but there's a lot of intelligence. There's a lot of technology behind that. That's exactly what was in our minds when we launched the Project Oxford. So it is really having people try and to see what kind of thing they can really do. So today, we are really put this into a suite of those APIs covering 5 important areas. It's computer vision, speech recognition, natural language, knowledge, and the search. The reason we say it is the cognitive services even beyond perception, because it's actually related to really understanding. Something actually we, human beings, can do pretty well because the brains we have. So if you look at that, it's not only each individual API that is important, but also how we can combine those APIs all together to do great things. I will get back to that point as well. So we have already launched a number of those APIs last year, and we continue to improve those APIs, and we added quite a few new APIs this year and at this Build conference. Today, you will hear more about emotion APIs, for example, and we will show you a lot of great things about the search API coming from our Bing engineering team. So the thing I really want to make sure that you understand is each of those APIs we have designed and we offer to you is web scale, secure, and flexible and easy to use. All those APIs are RESTful APIs you can easily call. And it's very, very important to recognize this kind of cognitive services APIs are typically statistical, are typically about the recognition. So you have to think about the accuracy, precision, and the recall. It means that the organization that offers this kind of APIs must commit to continuous improvement and the support, because it doesn't make any sense for our developers to use those APIs with crappy results. So we make sure that whether it's computer vision or speech or others, our APIs will offer you the best quality. So over the last year, we have tried a few very interesting things, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to show you a few more interesting, exciting APIs and some applications we built. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to help me to do that. The first coming up will be Anna. So Anna is going to show us something about the emotion API. Anna.
So our Emotion API is an API available from Microsoft Cognitive Services that lets you take an image or a video and identify the emotions of the people in that piece of content. So what we're doing is we're using computer vision to look at the facial expressions of the people in the video, and then relying on a long and deep history of psych research about what kind of facial expressions allow you to infer certain emotions. So in this API, we'll let you know whether someone's level of happiness, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, fear, contempt, or whether their face is neutral. So the really cool thing about these expressions is that there's a bunch of research saying that they are more or less universal. So cross cultures, cross ages, cross genders. If you smile, I know you're probably pretty happy, and if you frown, you're not happy. But what really excites me is that this is a new kind of signal for computers to take in. So if I'm talking to you right here and I smile at you, you'll probably smile back at me unconsciously. You'll know that we're having a good time chatting. But a computer, that's totally obscured to a computer historically. It's no longer the case. So let's take a look at this demo. So here I'm smiling. You can also tell surprise, disgust, contempt. And all of this is being inferred from my face and the kind of expressions that I'm making. So what really excites me about the Emotion API is it's a wonderful example of how research is working together more closely with our product teams. So with the Emotion API, we launched it last November, 2 days after the academic paper was published at a different conference. Could have launched them the same day, but we had 2 different conferences to go talk at. And this is because we actually embedded the product team with the research team from when they started working on this project, so that you as developers had access to the best and most cutting-edge work being done at Microsoft Research. I mean, quite literally, as soon as the service was up, we had it published. And that's something that really excites me about Microsoft Cognitive Services, is that you're really getting really cutting-edge stuff from Microsoft Research, from Bing, from our cloud and enterprise groups, so you're always accessing the latest and greatest. So why would you want Emotion API? So there's some use cases that I think are perhaps more obvious. If you have a piece of content, you want to know, how are people responding to my content? So I'm giving a talk right now, and I can see your faces, and most of you guys look pretty happy. But if I have a focus group or a television pilot or an advertisement, I can send that to people around the world and see how they feel about my product. And it can be more reliable than just asking them for surveys after the fact. And you free your product people from the drudgery of having to write down in great detail what everybody did at every minute. But there's also another sort of set of use cases that are a little more subtle that really excite me. So I saw a wonderful demo by some developers using the Emotion API. And what they did is they had a kiosk experience. And in that kiosk, there was a little animated character that looked back at you. And the cool thing is that the animated character would smile if you smile, or it would frown if you frowned. If you looked neutral, it would sort of take on a neutral expression. Now, this wasn't the core focus of the kiosk. The kiosk did something otherwise entirely different. But if you asked people about the character, they really liked it. Like, they responded extremely positively to it. They didn't know what it was doing. You couldn't be like, what's it doing? And they'd say, oh, it's mirroring my emotions. But because this is a really human way of interacting, they were more excited to interact with this machine. And so that really excites me. Things like Emotion API, by letting you take in new signals and develop new forms of interaction, let you build experiences that are really more human. It's always wonderful to see our machine intelligence research being able to let you have those kind of experiences very easily. So by going to our Cognitive Services website, you could start with Emotion API today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. I really like Emotion API. I think this really represents, why we are human, how we can actually understand about each other or even ourselves. So that's really cool. So the next up will be my old friend Gapri, who I worked with for quite a few years in Bing engineering team. Gapri is going to tell us all those wonderful things about the search APIs. Gapri.
Thank you so much, Harry. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here today, and to be presenting with Harry is an honor. Had the chance of working with Harry years ago when he was heading up Bing Engineering. I'm part of the Bing Engineering team, and I lead Bing for Partners and Bing Global. And we really partner very strongly, as Anna and Harry pointed out, with our research team to make sure that we have the latest and greatest, and there is a lot of cross collaboration and group happening. So I'm going to talk to you about more specifically, the APIs part of cognitive services that are delivered by from Bing. So today, what I want to let you know is that what we are delivering is actually the same technology that is used to power Bing and a lot of the experiences that are powered by Bing, which is part of cognitive services. So you as developers, right, you can go and create much smarter and much more engaging experiences leveraging the knowledge and intelligence that we deliver as part of these APIs and services. So rather than talk about this stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a lot of demos. And then we will get into what we are going to, how some of this stuff works. So with that, let me switch to the demo machine. And I'm going to go to just a few days ago, we launched the developer preview of Microsoft Cognitive Services. And as part of this, the Bing APIs are being served. So let's go and first look at the Bing Web Search API. And this is our actually API, which unifies a lot of the key Bing results. In one call, you can see video, image, news, related searches, all as part of one call, and of course, the blue links. And what we've done is to make it easier for you so you can test this out without doing anything is using our API Explorer, what I'm showing over here. With this, what I'm going to do is go to some sample queries. There's a sample query on TED Talks. So if I click on this, it makes an API call. As you can see in the API call, I got the official site, obviously, and then I also got news, videos, blue links, and and related searches, all part of one call. Now let's say you say this could be programmed, so let's do a regular query, 49ers. I'm a Seahawks fan, but since just for my own safety, I'm going to do this query while I'm in SFO. So as you can see, you get the same richness of these results, right? The blue links, images. This is all coming as one call. Now, if you wanted to go and try it in what we call the test console, you just switch to the JSON view. Here you need a developer key, and then you can go ahead and go play and see the effects of this. Now, the other key thing that we are serving as part of this API is a ranking signal, or we call a ranking hint. This is very important because we are telling you not only that these 5 result types are coming, but when based on the clicks, which we get from hundreds of millions of users every month and billions of clicks, when people do this query, what is typically what they click on, what they want, what they expect in terms of the rank order. So imagine that intelligence, right, which is constantly being trained, is also delivered through this API. Now let's look at another API. Let's look at the image API, which I call a vertical search API. Then you would say, well, Gurpreet, you just delivered all the images as part of the query. Then why do you have an image API? You didn't ask me the question, but I will tell you the answer. And that is because when you do vertical searches, we know the intent of the user a little better. We know the user is now looking for images only, right? So we can then tune the metadata, the filters, all those things for that particular vertical and give you more results in that vertical. So let's go try some of the sample queries here. One is nature wallpapers. When I look at nature wallpapers, as you can see, we have great image search, and a lot of that wallpapers are delivered to you. Now, what you should also notice here, when I talk about the metadata and the filters, these are relevant for images. And now, let's say I'm a person who likes purple very much, so I want to switch and see, show me only where there is purple is the dominant color. And I can do it for any color. I'm going to go and switch to another kind of thing, and let's say cute animals. Everybody likes cute animals. So here we have a bunch of cute animals, but I'm kind of a cheap guy. The way I use this is slightly different. I look at the image type filter and go to lines. And then I've got all these free drawings that I can print out and have my kids fill out, so I don't have to buy these drawing books. So, so that's an example. So let's take a short tour of another API. There is tons to show, but let's go see the video API. And now what I want you to quickly see when I show you the Explorer is that the filters have changed. It's not an image. You want to know about the quality of the video. You want to see, how long the video is, whether it's a free video or a play video. Let's go to Adele songs as an example. Now, when I show you Adele songs, these are all popular Adele songs, but what you don't see here is, well, that's nice, but what does an image of the Adele song help me? But we introduced a new feature, and that we call these motion thumbnails. So we give you a 30-second preview with audio of this, so you can integrate this kind of rich video search from Bing into the experiences that you're building. So I'm going to switch from, I showed you just a preview of all the great APIs that are coming from Bing, and then let's string these together and see what kind of interesting experiences can be created with the same. So I'm going to go here and now go into Skype, and you would say, why am I in Skype, right? The reason is, day before Satya announced our conversation as a platform, and he talked about bots are the new apps, right? So what we said is, let us show you taking these APIs and services and building some interesting experiences. You can see some of the bots that are already available out there, but I wanted to show you some very interesting apps like Harry mentioned that are created using these apps and services. So let's do the caption bot. So caption bot, if I give it an image, it gives me something, tells me something about that particular image. I want to go ahead, and I have, I'm going to take 2 pictures here, and okay, and send it to the caption bot. So I send these 2 pictures to caption bot. And it's interesting. Can you read the captions? He says, I'm not really confident, but I think it's Harry Shum in a shirt and tie and smiling at the camera. And he says, he seems happy. The other one is, I think it's Chi Lu posing for a picture. Now, if you remember day before, during the session, the main session, Satya talked about Chi Lu, and the camera person didn't realize, and he was pointing at Harry Shum. But our caption bot is so smart that it knows who is Chi Lu and who is Harry Shum, and he knows Harry looks happy and Chi has a neutral expression, and he's actually posing. So this is kind of an example of the natural language understanding, the computer vision, and tying with Bing images that, that we can build these kind of experiences. Now, while we are at it, I want to show you that this is not just programmed to these images. So let me go to the web and pick up some images. Let's say polar bear, right? I like this one, polar bear. And I copy this guy, and I go to my bot, friendly bot, Control V. And you can see that it says, I think it's a polar bear swimming in water. It's not only recognize the animal, which is so easier, but it's swimming in water is the kind of image recognition it's doing. Let's quickly try another one before I show you the other bot. So this is a skateboarding. I never do this at home. I go back and paste this straight from the web. I'm just showing you this is happening right here. I think this is a man flying, right, while on a skateboard. So that just shows you the power of the things that we do. The thing that it's doing more in addition to image is emotion recognition, celebrity recognition. So Harry Shum is a celebrity, and we know about Harry Shum, and it's Harry Shum, and he's happy. So we give you all this information contextual that the natural language is delivering to you. Now, while we are on bots, I want to show you another bot. This bot, I will kind of focus more on the demo, and then we'll get into the how it, because I think it's more funny. Let's go to another bot here called the Murphy bot, okay? So for MurphyBot, what I did is I actually had some interesting pictures to show you. So Harry and I went on golfing. Only a couple of times we did that while we were in Bing. And when I stood up on the tee and hit the ball, Harry would always say, "Oh, you hit the ball really far. You're like Tiger Woods." And said, "Oh, let me see what Murphy, if I was Tiger Woods, I wanted Murphy to kind of tell me what I would look like." But then I took help from MurphyBot, but then I figured that Tiger Woods doesn't look as handsome as me with a beard. So what I did is then the idea got a little more crazy. Then I said, what if Harry Shum was Tiger Woods? So I actually ran this. And I got, the MurphyBot, and it tells you what did Harry Shum look like if it was Tiger Woods. But then I got even more creative, and then I said, what would be another practical application of this? A practical application that came to mind for me, let me type it for you real time, because every year the Bond movie comes out. And you know what's the number one question when the Bond movie comes out? Who is going to play James Bond? And it's not like the old Roger Moore days or the Sean Connery days, we knew who it was going to be. Now it's, it could be this guy or this guy. Then I said, what if Bill Gates decided that he wanted to be James Bond? So let's see what MurphyBot tells me about that, okay? And I go down and see it generated this. Let me click on this guy. Come on. Okay, it doesn't want to expand. Now it does. You see, if Bill Gates decided to be James Bond, what he would look like. So, of course, these are some fun examples and fun that we have with some of these APIs and services. But there is a lot happening behind the scenes here. And what I wanted to do was quickly run through as to how some of these APIs are contributing to this. So let me switch to the slides, please. So what's happening behind the scenes? Obviously, you saw that this bot is running in context of Skype. It's using the bot development framework, and we let our developers and our friends have it at. And then it's using the cognitive services, what are called the language understanding intelligence service, which we call LUIS, the Bing Image API, and the Face API. So going to the next slide, I wanted to kind of get into how this thing was actually composed. So first is we took the natural language understanding API, and we built a model using that service. And we used few phrase examples, right, in order to start training that model. Then we took the more examples, and then with that with the training, and we did some labeling as well. And to give you an example, like a simple labeling tool, we went ahead and said, okay, the phrase is, what if Bill Gates was James Bond? An example was, what if Harry Shum was Tiger Woods? And then there we take that and we tag Bill Gates as the source, and then we tag James Bond, as the target, and then we run the queries on Bing Image Search to give us images for those two entities. And as you can see over here, this is the code right coming out of this. What is LUIS telling us? The intent. What is the intent, which is a what if, is the intent. The entities are James Bond and Bill Gates, and how this kind of comes together. So we are using the Face API. What it's doing is taking the frame of the faces and then taking the coordinates and fitting the faces into replacing the face inside the other picture, which is the James Bond picture. So here you can actually see that how you can use LUIS and strength of these APIs to create more interesting and experiences for your scenarios are. So I would like to conclude by saying that you might think that what I'm showing you is it's just a bunch of APIs. What I'm showing you is actually the technology, the knowledge, the intelligence that powers a lot of the Microsoft products you use, like Office. I showed you Skype, Cortana. The brains behind Cortana is Bing, right? And Windows Search. All this is being powered by these same technologies and APIs. And not only us, but look around. Apple Siri, Apple Spotlight, Amazon, AOL, InfoSpace, Yahoo. These are other examples of people who are actually using these APIs, right, to power their search and their experiences. So what does that bring? It brings web scale. Harry talked about web scale. We are literally have hundreds of millions of users, right, and billions of clicks. All this data is coming constantly into the system and be used to go tune these APIs. Then what we also do is we do these are based on open search data standards, schema.org, JSON-LD, right? So this stuff is so much like based on standard, can be easily incorporated. All are RESTful, so they're interoperable. You can write Windows Universal apps, but if you are targeting other devices, you leverage the same APIs. We use web security. We are using SSL, TLS, all the things that you're used to for doing the web security stuff. And the key part is ongoing improvement. This is coming off live signal, huge amount of signal that is trained to use the models to deliver the intelligence. So I have 2 call to actions for you. We have more sessions on cognitive services where my colleagues are going to go into depth for a lot of these APIs today and tomorrow. Go attend it. And please go to Microsoft.com Cognitive Services and start experiencing and trying these APIs for free. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Capri. You see, in Capri's presentation, he also, really put this emotion API there as well for some of his demos. I tell you a secret. Ever since we started work on emotion API, I actually found that not only myself, but all our team members actually smile a lot more. For that reason alone, you should try our emotion API. So it's really very exciting to talk about exciting things happening in Microsoft. But the reason we actually create cognitive APIs is really for our developers, people like you. So it's really exciting for me to see innovative use of those APIs by our customers and the partners. I'm going to introduce 2 partners coming up very soon. But I want to talk a little bit about our language and translator API. So one of the most interesting things in artificial intelligence is really understanding human language. We believe it is the reason why the human species have advanced so much in the last several thousand years. If you think about that, there are thousands of spoken languages right now in the world. It's just so difficult for us to have enough time to learn too many languages. So in Microsoft, when we started Microsoft Research 25 years ago, the first group we actually ever started was natural language. The second group we started was speech recognition. Computer vision group was one of the first 5 groups we started. You see, we have invested in those areas for a long time. So we really want to focus on natural language because it's important for us to help to break down the language barriers for so many people around the world. So today we actually put all the technologies behind Skype Translator and the Microsoft Translator app. The technology now becoming Microsoft Cognitive Services Translate API. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Lars to come to the stage. Lars is the Executive Vice President of Tele2, which is a large mobile operator in Europe. They actually have 15 million customers in 9 different countries. Lars is going to show us some very exciting demos and how they can use the application. Okay, Lars?
Thank you, Harry, and It's a great pleasure to be here, participating in the Build conference and contributing to the Build conference as well. What is Tele2, or who are we at Tele2? We are actually challengers, and I sometimes say we're one of the last challengers in the operator space in Europe. And we've been challenging since day one. We began with challenging monopolies, cracking them open, making communication services available for everyone. And we continue to do that across, and recently we've been challenging outdated pricing models. And now with the translator API coming across, we found a common challenge actually together with Microsoft to be able to bring this translation service alive, a technology, taking it alive, not just to the few, but to the masses, to be able to create a speech-to-speech translation service that actually was, that could be workful for everyone. I actually have a good friend of mine. He's French, and he doesn't speak that well English, actually. And to be perfectly honest, my French is not that great either. So we have a little bit of an issue when we try to communicate with each other. So we actually was thinking about putting this translator API actually to the test. So I was thinking to just give him a call and see how he's doing.
Are you there, Olivier?
Comment êtes-vous au courant?
Oui, je suis là. J'espère que tout est en train de bien se passer pour toi.
Yes, I'm here. I hope all the trying to turn around for you.
Great. I'm actually here with a few friends. Would you like to have a drink tonight?
Super, je suis en fait quelques amis.
Parfait. On se voit donc ce soir pour prendre un verre.
Perfect. I'll see you tonight for a drink.
Pretty awesome. And that was done with no new hardware, no new apps. It just works. And how did we do it? We integrated the Microsoft Translator API into our network. And that added a lot of benefits. Number one, it works across fixed telephony as well as mobile telephony. And on top of that, it works across all kinds of devices. So your old dial phone at home, your feature phone, and also your smartphone. No apps needed. That is a great service. Now, why are we doing this? Rather than me telling you all about that, we actually put a little video together for you.
More than 6,000 languages are spoken in the world today. No wonder people everywhere are struggling to get on, when they simply can't understand each other. The human race can put a man on the moon, but we still can't talk to the person in front of us. So our company decided to do something about it, together with Microsoft. Their program understands what people say, and it translates your words into another language. And we can make that work on your phone in real life. So when you speak your language, the other person hears the translation right after your voice. Then it works the other way around when that person speaks. We hope this will make life easier for millions. In fact, we are planning to offer it to some people who need it badly right now. This summer, we hope refugees in Europe will use our service to start building their new lives, getting in touch with authorities, looking for work or accommodation, and so on. And we will start rolling it out in different countries. This is Tele2 and Microsoft, trying to make things a little better for everyone.
So the next step for us, we are really excited about. We will take this service, and as you know, there's a lot of people on the move in Europe right now, looking for a new country, a safe house. And of course, a big challenge then for European countries today is, of course, to find interpreters, which has become a shortage. So what we would actually like to do is to bridge that gap. So we would like to go to government institutions and help them out, and hopefully with this translator service, then be able to enable everyone to communicate without any borders. We call it democratizing communication. I'm going to be here today together with my team, and I know there's plenty of other use cases that we would like to share, and I hope that you take the opportunity to discuss with us and continue the conversation together today as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lars. This is very impressive. You know, just you can see the power of cloud computing, and with any kind of phones and with some AI technology here. So the next, we have the CEO of a startup company, Flavio, from Brazil. Actually, Flavio met with our CEO, Satya, just a few months ago when Satya visited Brazil, met a bunch of promising startups and the CEOs. That's when we actually got to know very interesting work by Flavio. It's actually not from one spoken language to another one. It's actually from spoken language to sign language to help people with hearing difficulty. Come on up. Yeah.
Thank you, Harry. It's my pleasure to be here with you. My name is Flavio. I'm co-founder from ProDef, and we have this solution. Our mission actually is breaking the communication barrier between deaf and hearing people. So maybe you don't know, but there are more than 350 million deaf individuals in the world, and most of them are illiterate, which means writing communication is not an option. In fact, 49% of American deaf are unemployed. And to solve this problem, we have created ProDef, a suite of products who translate spoken language into sign language using a 3D character. Let's take a look. Hey, Jim, is this? Okay. Hello, how are you today? Now, let's imagine that you want to communicate with a deaf person while traveling in another country. For instance, I'm from Brazil, I speak Portuguese, and I want to communicate in American Sign Language. Let's see what we can help with this tool. Nossa missão é mudar a vida das pessoas. That's it. Portuguese to American Sign Language. And how it works? It's very simple. The Microsoft Translator API sends the translated text, the ProDef server receives it, and sends a set of sign language instructions to our 3D avatar on client side. So, very easy. I'm very excited to be here and to present to you this beta version of ProDef Communicator, because this is only the first step to help empower those millions of deaf individuals in the world and, in fact, breaking the communication barrier. If you have any question, it will be my pleasure to talk with you after this session. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Microsoft Translator team.
Thank you, Chris. It's really a very inspiring work by Flavio and his team. So let me make sure that we understand that what we have been talking about today. We have a suite of those APIs covering a number of those areas of cognitive services, from vision to speech to language to knowledge to search. It's very, very important for me to make sure that you understand that those APIs are not only easy to use, they're flexible, but the important thing is that you have our commitment that we will continue to improve the quality of those APIs, and that brings the best of the research from Microsoft, from the experience we have learned developing multiple products there. So it's really the many years of accumulation of those knowledge that we now offer as those APIs. So the three things that I hope that you actually take away from this presentation and make sure that you know what to do next. One is that if you have not done that yet, stop by the hub, the expert zone, and talk to our people there and learn more and the hands-on experience there. And of course, the second thing is that actually we do have another session getting into more details about cognitive services. My colleague Ryan will talk to you about many more things, especially one of my favorites I don't have time to talk about is Louis, language understanding services there at 5 p.m. The last one is actually go to microsoft.com/cognitive to see more details there. So I'm going to finish my presentation by remembering that one of the founding fathers of AI, Professor Marvin Minsky of MIT, and also sharing you with this quote. I like this quote because it really embodies the spirit of what Satya talked about yesterday. I think it's really about how man and machines should coexist. It's really about we create AIs to augment the human capability and the experiences. I hope you leverage Microsoft Cognitive Services as you build your own AI to benefit our society. Thank you very much for your time.